let's talk Tales of the Jedi. I loved it. Some parts almost made me cry, and Dave Filoni is king. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. May the Force be with you, always. In all seriousness, we are going to dive into Tales of the Jedi and why I personally thought it was the best Star Wars of 2022. So getting into Count Dooku's arc, we're going to break him down first and then go into the Ahsoka stuff that we got. It was very, very, very intriguing. I loved seeing the Jedi version of Dooku kind of fall away, and you see him kind of slip into the dark side here and there, and especially that part where he's force choking that senator and he straight up throws Qui-Gon to the back of the room. Super intense, super scary, and I loved every second of it. Even seeing an old man Qui-Gon, where that episode blended with episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was really cool. And I love it when Liam Neeson comes back to voice Qui-Gon in the animated stuff. It just shows that he actually really likes the character and has a passion for him. And probably my favorite part of that arc was Dooku versus Master Yaddle. I thought that was brilliantly directed. Yaddle is super cool. She was actually voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard, which is a director of The Mandalorian and some episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. But there's so many visual cues in those episodes. You have Yaddle on this side, you have Palpatine on this side, Dooku in the middle, because he's torn in between the light and the dark, right? But in that, you have Yaddle with the light peering through the door, and you have Sidious completely in the shadow of the room, and Dooku is kind of like stuck in the middle of that. I really liked how they talked so much about Dooku being upset with the Republic because of the corruption and them just wanting to provide for the rich and not really paying any attention to the people who don't have a lot of money or all the poverty that's galaxy-wide. It really kind of shapes the way that we see Dooku in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and even in the Clone Wars, in a whole new light. Now getting to my personal favorite part of Tales of the Jedi, and that was the Ahsoka arc. All of them were amazing. I'm just saying this right now, baby Ahsoka is the new Grogu. I want baby Ahsoka everywhere. She's the cutest little baby. Oh my goodness. My favorite episode of the entire show was actually episode 5, titled Practice Makes Perfect. And it's where Anakin is teaching her to deflect the stun bolts from the clone troopers. And that is just the coolest thing ever, because it makes direct ties to Order 66 in the Clone Wars and how that all went down between Ahsoka and Rex and all of that good stuff. But it just shows and further fleshes out the relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka. I love how it wasn't like classic Anakin and Ahsoka where they're, you know, brother and sister and they're palling around, and they actually have a bit of tension there, and Anakin still is not happy with having a Padawan, and so he kind of doesn't really know how to show his appreciation of her. He gives her a lot of tough love in these episodes, and I thought it was super interesting. Also, it wouldn't be a Dave Filoni creation if Kanan wasn't in the episode. I saw his little excited face when Ahsoka was doing flippies. I saw it. Another really cool detail about that specific episode was when Ahsoka tries to deflect them for the first time, Jesse is the clone that knocks her out.
Yeah, Jesse really tagged you.
Sorry, Commander.
If y'all remember from season 7, he's the one that takes charge in arresting her and Rex. Star Wars is like poetry, it rhymes. And then for the final episode, titled Resolve, it's kind of similar to the Ahsoka book by E.K. Johnston. I actually own a copy of this book, and this is the story that made Ahsoka my favorite character of all time. If you have not read it, I highly recommend it. Even though it's kind of not canon anymore, it's a great read. But that's kind of what I wanted to touch on, is that it takes aspects of that book and puts them on screen in a way that is similar but different at the same time. She still lives in a village for a while, befriends some of the townsfolk, and an Inquisitor does show up at the end, and she does defeat him. In the book, she kills him a little bit differently, but she also takes the kyber crystals from that Inquisitor lightsaber and purifies them, and that's how she gets her white crystals. And oh my goodness, can we please just talk about the way that she killed that Inquisitor? Ugh. So awesome. The execution of that scene was amazing. The voice acting, Clancy Brown as that Inquisitor, who also voices Savage Opress, Ryder Azadi in Rebels, and Mr. Krabs. The music was fantastic. Kevin Kiner blows it out of the water every time he touches Star Wars. I love that guy and can't wait for him to do his own film one day. I really loved Tales of the Jedi, but there were some things that kind of were really weird about it. One of them being the timeline errors. I don't know if they didn't have a big enough budget to create new models, or they just slipped their minds, or I don't know what happened, but Obi-Wan should not have long hair at this point in time. I'm not sure why they did that, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, it looks awesome. I can't wait to have the action figure of Clone Wars Obi-Wan with long hair, so is it really a complaint? Nah, scratch that. That's not a complaint. And I would have really liked to have seen Ahsoka purify her crystals, but it is what it is. We all know what happens. We don't really have to see it to know. Guys, that's going to wrap up my review of this series. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments section down below. I absolutely loved it and cannot wait for the Ahsoka series that's going to drop. And I would love to see them either do another season of Tales of the Jedi or give us the flip-flopped version and do Tales of the Sith. Be a great way to get some young Palpatine, maybe some Plagueis, even some Old Republic stuff. I think could be super interesting, and I really want them to do it. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you, always.